My dear fellow survivor, I'm so honored you're here with me today because today I answer a question that so many survivors have before joining our Music and Yomi coaching journey. And this question is a question I had myself for many, many years. If it's so painful, if it's too painful that I can't really look at it, look at my pain, then how am I supposed to heal? Rightfully so. And the answer lies in learning how to tune our pain into love. And I see love as an instrument not only of pain, but also as an instrument of change. And how we learn to tune this instrument from pain into love is first by acknowledging that it's there, right? If we don't acknowledge it's there, if we don't look at the pain, if we don't feel the pain, if we repress it, in other words, how are we supposed to learn to process it and integrate it, right? Which only leads to us staying stuck longer than we have to. So when I started realizing that I was trying to do everything but acknowledge my pain, right? That's when I had the most challenging times of my life. When I realized that I kept ignoring the pain and not acknowledging the pain, doing everything to pretend it wasn't there, and I realized that that wasn't helpful, I started looking at my pain. And a lot of survivors think that there's only such a thing as post-traumatic stress, right? There's actually another helpful way to move forward, and that is with post-traumatic growth. So instead of ignoring the pain, if we acknowledge the pain, right, and turn it into love, tune it into love, because really, like I said, love is our instrument here, right? If we tune it into love, into change, and we acknowledge the pain, then what we can do is extract certain learning lessons. For example, for me, I used to be on autopilot all the time, right? And relationships didn't matter as much as whatever I was doing in my life, whether it was with work, whether it was my career, my education, right? And relationships would always come last. So for me, when I started looking at my pain, I started realizing, okay, well, a learning lesson here is I have to make, not have to, I want to and I need to make relationships a priority, right? So I extracted that lesson, many other lessons too, but just for sake of example, once I extracted that lesson, I was able to then adapt and grow into my next version, right? So the me of today makes relationships a priority, whereas the me of years ago used to keep relationships last. So ask yourself, how can I start tuning my instrument, which is your love? How can you start tuning it from pain into change, right? Ask yourself that. Ask yourself, how can I acknowledge just even a little bit of my pain instead of repressing it like I've been doing? And then start gathering some insights, right? How can you apply this in your daily life? How can you think differently, feel different emotions, act differently in a way that's going to help you get to your next healing step? No need to feel overwhelmed. Just start looking at it a little bit, and if you acknowledge that pain and shed a light on it, you're going to get all kinds of insights. And those insights will turn into your next version of your growth. So my dear fellow survivor, I say this with all my heart. Start today. Start tuning that instrument of yours from pain into change. and take small actions, daily steps, because that is what leads to sustainable healing. My dear fellow survivor, I say this with all my heart. Please take good care of yourself, and may you be filled with music and heal.